Listen to this. She's about to go in and grind Pfizer up. Listen.
And since we're discussing Pakistan, terrorism comes to mind. Terror comes in many forms, they say. Sometimes it's from the neighborhood. Sometimes it's online. Sometimes it's from those you entrust with saving lives. Vaccine makers, for example. While countries like India are sending free vaccines to poorer nations, there are companies like Pfizer which are bullying governments. It's a story in contrast, and what a stark contrast this is. The US-based company Pfizer is holding governments to ransom, interfering with their legislation, even demanding military bases as guarantee. Would you believe it? A vaccine maker asking for a country's military base in return for vaccines. On Gravitas tonight, we'll bring you two horror stories from Latin America and the bizarre demands that Pfizer is making. Let's start by looking at Pfizer's business in the region. It has vaccine deals with 9 Latin American countries: Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Mexico, Panama, Peru, and Uruguay. 2 major Latin American nations are missing from this list: Argentina and Brazil. Neither has a deal with Pfizer, but both have a story to tell. Let's start with Argentina. Talks between Argentina and Pfizer began in June 2020. In July, President Alberto Fernandez...
And look, this is the CEO. You know who this is. This is the CEO of Pfizer. And look at both of them. Look, with their Masonic. You know, this is what pisses me off, right? I don't even watch that many Jesse Lee Peterson videos, right? But I seen a clip of him talking to Geno Jennings, and he said something about. He said why? Matter of fact, let's listen to what Jesse Lee Peterson is about to say, and then let's come back to Amalek.
Communities which farm. I've noticed that not all, but most black people today are very destructive. Everything they touch turns to dust. If they move it to white communities, which are really nice, and the white people leave, they'll turn that into a ghetto. If they take over your business, or if they take over the government, or if they take over anything, they turn it into a ghetto. Why is that?
Well, and Gino he's not even going to answer the question. He's going to go on and on about we need the right discipline. What he should have did when he says that black people are very destructive and everything they touch, is destroyed. I mean, you could have went into the curses. I mean, because that's what we're under. We're still under the curses. Okay, everything the Most High said everything that we would do, it wouldn't bring any fruit. We wouldn't have any businesses. We wouldn't own anything. I mean, you got like small little businesses, but for the most part, we're under the curses that was deemed by the Most High. That's why our people are destructive and destroyed for a lack of knowledge, right? He could have just went down the list and went to the curses, right? Curse thou shalt be in the city, curse shall be in the store, curse shall be that in thy basket. Instead, he went on some textbook high school stuff. But then this dude, like I said, I don't watch many of his videos, but the way it sounds like he just loves his master. Everything that whatever black people were in charge of, everything is destroyed. Well, who are we dealing with right here? Who's in charge right now?
And since we're discussing
the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, and this is who we have in charge. Amalek, with his Masonic hand signs, extorting Latin American countries for vaccines, extorting them for military bases and banks, and still being greedy when Argentina and Brazil gave in and compromised with them, and they still didn't want to take any responsibility. I don't see no black people here in charge of this. But Jesse Lee Peterson, I don't see him saying nothing about nothing like this.
Pfizer asked to be compensated for the cost of any future lawsuits. What does that mean? Say someone files a civil lawsuit against Pfizer in Argentina, and if that person wins the case, who pays the compensation? It won't be Pfizer. It would be the government of Argentina. Now, Argentina had never done this before, but it made an exception. It needed life-saving vaccines, and desperate times call for desperate measures. So Argentina's parliament passed a new law in October 2020. But Pfizer was unhappy with its phrasing. The law said Pfizer needs to at least pay for negligence, for its own mistakes, if it happens to make any in future. Pfizer rejected this.
They didn't even want to. They didn't even want to accept responsibility for their own mishaps. This is Proverbs 30 and 14. There is a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor from off the earth, and the needy from among men. The horse leech have 2 daughters, crying, give, give. And there are 3 things that are never satisfied. For 4 things say not, it is enough. The grave, the barren womb, the earth that is not filled with water, and the fire that saith not, it is enough. These devils have all the money, all the wealth, all the status. Every single country eating out the palm of their hand out of fear that's perpetuated by a satanic ass media, a satanic, fake, Amalek controlled media.
Not all, but most black people today are very destructive. Everything they touch turns to dust. If they move it to white communities, which are really nice, and the white people leave, they'll turn that into a ghetto. If they take over your business, or if they take over the government, or if they take over anything, they turn it into a ghetto. Why is that?
And yet you devils still take advantage. You still take advantage of these countries. That's destructive, Jesse Lee Peterson.
Won't pay for its mistakes. Argentina then offered to amend the law to define negligence more clearly, to include only vaccine distribution and delivery under negligence. Pfizer was still not happy. It demanded the law be amended through a new decree. That's when Argentina put its foot down. They refused. Pfizer then asked Argentina to buy an international insurance. What for? To pay for potential future cases against the company. Argentina agreed. In December 2020, Pfizer came back with more demands. It wanted sovereign assets as collateral. What does that mean? Pfizer wanted Argentina to put, and listen to this, put its bank reserves, its military bases, and its embassy buildings at stake as collateral. Pfizer wanted Argentina to put its sovereignty at stake for what? Just to secure vaccines. There is no doubt that Pfizer is sitting on a pile of life-saving drugs.
And this is Esau Edom, the so-called white man. Amalek. This is who's in charge, Jesse Lee Peterson. What kind of person, what kind of cutthroat personality do you have to demand a country give you their military bases and their banks as collateral? You got to be a special character, a dirty, yellow belly, Kabbalah practicing bastard. That's what you got to be. Wow, man.
But what gives it the right to bully a government? Profiteering from your plight and mine. You see, vaccine manufacturers have always enjoyed a certain amount of liability waiver. Say you receive a vaccine from Pfizer, you have adverse effects because of the jab, you can always go ahead and file a lawsuit against the company. And if you win that lawsuit, instead of Pfizer, it will be the government that will be compensating you, and this is a normal practice. In the United States, for example, the PrEP Act, that's the Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act, gives total immunity to companies like Pfizer and Moderna. But this is only if something goes wrong unintentionally. This does not apply to negligence. Pfizer is not happy with that. It wants more, not just sovereign assets, but a fraud insurance. Argentina was not okay with this. What about Brazil? What did Pfizer do in Brazil? The world's third most affected country. Pfizer went a step ahead and asked Brazil to create a guarantee fund and deposit money in a foreign bank account. On the 23rd of January 2021, Brazil's health ministry put out this statement, citing excerpts from Pfizer's pre-contract clauses. These are Pfizer's demands. Look at this. Number one, Brazil waives the sovereignty of its assets abroad in favor of Pfizer. This is a vaccine company. Number two, that the rules of the land be not applied on Pfizer. Number three, that Brazil take into consideration a delay in delivery. Number four, that Pfizer is not penalized for it, for a delay in delivery. And number five, in case of any side effects, Pfizer be exempted from all civil liability.
So why on God's earth are all these people running around injecting themselves with this shit and then posting selfies on Facebook all proud, knowing that this is public information and you're not even allowed to talk about it, or you get strikes, you get censored. All my coworkers, man, all my coworkers are taking this shit left and right like zombies, not even thinking twice. Every last one of them. Everybody, they care more about this world, man. Obviously, they know something is really fucked up in that vaccine. Obviously, they know something. So they went to the extremes to protect themselves. They demanded these countries give up its sovereignty, military bases, banks. This is Micah 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it's in the power of their hand. These devils are wicked by nature. You give them any power, any status, any money, this is what they do.
The government of Brazil calls these clauses abusive, and they're right.
Yeah. So just like the scripture says, they come up with these laws for which they prescribe, and their ways are grievous with all these clauses and all these loopholes. The scriptures got you. The scriptures got you dead to rights. A Kabbalah practicing, dirty, yellow belly bastard from Ashdod. This is disgusting.
It goes without saying, the Pfizer deal with Brazil failed too. This is a report by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism. It talks about a third country, one whose deal with Pfizer was reportedly pushed back by 3 months. Why? Because Pfizer made similar bizarre demands. The company has just 2 billion doses to deliver this year, and that is on a first-come, first-served basis. A delay of 3 months can cost a whole year, and it can cost a lot of lives. Pfizer is playing with life-saving drugs. It is abusing its position, and having developed a vaccine with the help of government funding, it is now throwing tantrums at governments. Did you know that Pfizer's German partner, BioNTech, was given $445 million by the government of Germany? The US paid Pfizer $2 billion as early as July 2020. This was against pre-orders. Pfizer is looking at making $15 billion from vaccine sales this year. It is in talks with 100 countries and organizations. There is no dearth of money for this company. Why then is Pfizer bent on squeezing desperate countries of their assets? Like we showed you, 9 Latin American and Caribbean countries struck deals with Pfizer for vaccines. What did they have to give up in exchange? Military bases? Embassy buildings? Sovereign funds? Look at Pfizer's hypocrisy. It is bullying poor countries behind closed doors. And in front of the press, it is playing Messiah. On the 22nd of January, Pfizer signed an agreement with COVAX, the Global Vaccine Alliance. It committed 40 million doses to poor countries this year. And the company put out a press release. You must listen to what they say. I want to read out a particular quote from Pfizer chairman and CEO Albert.
Okay, that's there. This is Amalek. Okay, this is the chairman and CEO of Pfizer, Albert Bourla. I got something to show you about this bastard right here. Let's listen to what he says.
Albert Bourla. At Pfizer, he says, we believe that every person deserves to be seen, heard, and cared for. And that's why, from the very beginning of our vaccine development program, Pfizer and BioNTech have been firmly committed to working towards equitable and affordable access of COVID-19 vaccines for people around the world. Does this make you angry too?
And this is the same devil. This is the same devil last year when they interviewed him and asked him if he was going to get his vaccine. In a smirking way, he said something like, he said, no, I have to wait for my turn.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much, and congratulations. We got a chance to talk right after the vaccine was authorized, right after it was, the data first came out, and now we have the first conversation after it's authorized. Let me wish my congratulations to you.
Thank you very much. And indeed, it was like yesterday that we had this discussion.
Have you taken the vaccine, sir?
No, I haven't taken it yet. And we are having an ethical committee dealing with the question of who is getting it. And given that there are very strict allocation rules that the CDC has voted, we are very sensitive not to cut the queue and have people getting vaccinated before. So still, I think this committee recommends that I will get vaccinated because polls that we have seen said that people will believe much more on this vaccine if the CEO is getting vaccinated. So likely I will get it.
As long as not everybody is vaccinated, nobody will be safe.
Flu vaccines are available now at many locations. Don't fall behind. Get your flu vaccine now, and let's all stay protected together.
This is Psalms 10:7. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places do he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor.
We believe that every person deserves to be seen, heard, and cared for.
Psalms 10:10. He croucheth and humble himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. He has said in his heart, Yahweh hath forgotten. He hideth his face, he will never see it. No, the eyes of the Lord are upon the sinful kingdom. It's like these devils operate. The Most High put the spirit on these devils to run around and operate with no fear, no acknowledgement of nothing. And I believe that's to show us on the outside looking in. That's to show us and to give us a lesson. And to show us, don't be, when this place gets utterly eviscerated, we will have known all this time from these lessons and from learning and from seeing this devil exposed. We will have learned by then why it is justified when the Most High should, just like the scriptures depicts him, calls him the King of Terrors, the Lord of the armies, of the Sabaoth. We will have learned by then why it had to happen the way it happens. Jesse Lee Peterson.
So I don't know how Kick Push got you to thinking that I'm not taking vaccines, or I don't know where you got that from. And I appreciate the love as a fan, but Dick, I'm taking all that shit.